What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me and you can hear me. What's up? We got Jay Scott in the house. Great to see you, sir. We got Laura here as well from our investment club. We got Jeffrey. Nice to see you. Harl. We got Bronislav. We got Danielle, Jenny. We got John. We got Thomas. We got Pedro. We got Christine. Thank you. Turn these cameras on or I'm throwing you out. Clint and Andrea and Stem and Christina and Sunny. I need to see the whites of your eyes in order to get some inspiration. I'm wearing a tie and it's hot in London. It's not Vegas hot. It's not Tucson hot. It's not Dubai hot, but it's hot here. You know, I like it actually. It freaks out the British when it gets above 80 degrees here, as they say in America. So we kind of like it. We got PT. Thanks for seeing your face there. We got Neil somewhere. And I think that's that's live, or is that a picture of Sem? Oh, there he is. All right, fantastic. Great. Andre, I see you there with the dog, but it'd be great to see some cameras. But yeah, I do throw people out if I can't see your face. And I'm about to share a presentation that I just made this morning with some videos I haven't released yet. And it's a perspective that's this. If you think big tech is bad, and how many people see bad things in big tech? Anybody here, raise your hand. Have you ever been censored by big tech? I have. Have you ever been made depressed by big tech and social media? I think we all have. You know, have you ever had your privacy invaded by big tech, your information stolen by big tech? Well, if you think that's bad, and right now we're looking at a bunch of trillion-dollar companies that rule the world. And as a quick aside, back in 2020, I got censored, deplatformed, almost driven out of business. And it wasn't by a government. It wasn't by an NGO like the WHO. It wasn't by Ofcom here in London, which wanted to stop me broadcasting. Do you know who almost drove me out of business and canceled me and silenced me? Any guesses? Big tech, right? And they didn't honor my constitutional rights in America or my European Union rights to free speech, but they did it anyway. And so, you know, if you look at some problems, you've got big tech because that's Web 2 and they have a lot of power. If you think that was bad, big AI is going to be worse. Does that make a little bit of sense? Thumbs up if people kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you why I have this thesis, and I'm going to show you how bad it can get. As usual, folks, I promise to bring it back and give you a ray of hope because I have a ton of hope. I've never been so fired up in my life. I've never worked as hard. We've never invested so much money here. We've never been partnered with so many people that are going to help us create a bright future. But it means taking action now. And we're doing it. We're putting our money where our mouth is. And I'm also putting my mouth where my mouth is by broadcasting about this stuff all the time. And actually on tomorrow, I've actually got, actually not tomorrow, for next Friday, I've got Ben Goertzel back to talk more about AI. The week after that, I've got Mo Gaudat here in the studio, who's just been on Piers Morgan. He's just been on other podcasts, racking up millions of views because he understands AI. I'm actually going to play a clip from him today as well. So last chance to turn your cameras on. Andrea Curran, you've been warned, so you are gone. Sorry, that's it. I'm going to report you so you can't come back in. How's that? What else? Yan Dan, I'm sorry you're gone as well. I'm just going to remove a couple people, thin out the audience a little, Martini, jack the energy up. And everybody else, if you got cameras on, you're good. Martini, I'll give you the power to do that as we go along. But if you could just pay attention, any questions and comments, I would love to see them. I do see them here. And shout out to John in the Costa del Cork here in Southern Ireland, where they have beautiful beaches and, you know, a culture of sunshine, right? So we appreciate that. We got people in the Alps here and of course, Christine from Australia. So we appreciate that as well. All right, is everybody ready to rock and roll here? We good to go? And John, great to see you. Thanks, Sunny. Nice to see your beautiful face too. See, Martini, when they turn their cameras on, everyone's beautiful. Everyone's beautiful, just like us. It's amazing, right? Okay, let's go, folks. All right, strap on because we're about to go 0 to 100 miles an hour real quick. But let's jump into this. Can everybody see my screen here and my AI persona here on the right? Can everybody see this? Okay. Can everybody see my little Illuminati sign here? Yeah, I got this when I used to be in banking. All right, but I quit the Illuminati before I started London Real, I promise. Actually, once I started London Real, they threw me out of the Illuminati. All right. And then once I met David Icke, he canceled it for sure. But look, this is what I want to talk about today. And this is my assertion that big tech is bad, but big AI is going to be worse. And we need to watch this like a hawk. All right. And I'm going to walk you through what we need to watch out, but I'm also going to show you how we are investing in what we believe will be the benevolent AI and AGI of the future. Does that make sense to everybody here? All right. So I'm going to walk you through the problem. And we've been taking massive action here for the past 6 months. Ever since I started playing with ChatGPT in December of last year, the last 6 months straight, we've gone head first into it. I've spoke with pretty much all of the AI experts in the world, a lot of it on camera, a lot of it off camera. We're investing money. We're writing $3 million of checks this quarter to invest in these companies. And I plan to probably write another 10 million until the end of the year, all in this space in order to create the future that we want. So that's what's happening here. And I'll walk you through a lot of it. So let's jump in and start. First of all, we've all heard the dangers, and it's fascinating to me that this continues to happen in mainstream media. It actually feels like some people get it. And that's a beautiful thing to see. But again, this was in the Daily Mail recently that said AI could wipe out humanity on the front page, okay? Threat as bad as nuclear war, and it must be tackled, say tech bosses, okay? This in the Daily Mail is a big thing, all right? Because the Daily Mail doesn't always report on such intellectual topics. A lot of times it's what such and such is wearing at the beach is what they talk about, right? So this is a beautiful thing. And it just shows us that we all need to be alarmed right now. The truth is, the deeper down you go the rabbit hole in AI, the more worried you get. Anybody done that alongside of me? Has anybody dove into AI, right? The more you learn, a little bit worried you get. And as you start talking to the experts, you can all see they're worried. Can anybody see they're all scared? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about, right? They're all worried, and they know 10 times as much as we do. Sam Altman is scared. He doesn't sleep well at night. All of these people don't sleep well at night because they see what they've created, and in their hands is the thing that could destroy humanity forever. That means not only them, their family, their communities, that means the entire species forever. And it'll have their name on the bottom of the statue that'll still be here that the AI lords will probably bow to, right? It's that bad. So this is what we're talking about here, and I want to get into it. So first of all, we've got Eric Schmidt. He spent 15 years in senior positions at Google. And he just came out and said the AI has the power to kill many people. And I try to read between the lines with these guys because they're all trying to give us a message, but they can't tell us the truth. So look at his quote here on the right. He says, my concern with AI is actually existential, which is a nice way of saying we're all going to die. Okay, you see how they use their vocabulary really well. Existential means we're all dead. It's a nice way of saying that. And existential risk is defined as, watch what he says, many, 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 many people harmed or killed. Now, do you think Eric Schmidt has written a few memos in his day? Raise your hand if you think he's probably done that, right? Probably went to a good university, probably did a few talks on stage. He just used the same adjective 4 times in a row. Okay, this says something to me. The fact that he's out here talking to as many people as possible, warning these things, and he doesn't have a dog in the fight makes me concerned. All right. So again, I'm reading through the lines and things like this get my attention. OpenAI leaders, this is The Guardian here in the UK, call for regulation to prevent AI destroying humanity. I mean, they're not mincing words here. They're literally saying big statements like that, okay? Again, they need an atomic watchdog to guard against risks of super intelligent AI. We've now seen AI wars. Remember, let's talk about big tech and big AI. Now big tech is going to war with AI, right? So we have OpenAI's ChatGPT backed by Microsoft. We have Google Bard that's now been launched and connected directly to the live internet. Does that worry anybody here that now one of the strongest and most powerful large language models is connected directly to the internet, right? Again, there's 3 rules in AI for the last 20 years. 3 rules. Number 1, you never teach them how to code computer program. Number 2, you never connect them to the live internet. Number 3, you never let them learn about humans and human emotions and decision processes. That's like been the rule for AI. You don't do these things. We've now broken all 3 of those rules. Can everybody see that? It's a race to zero on these big tech companies. Why? Because if they don't break the rules, they're going to become irrelevant. Their stock price is going to go to 0. I mean, literally Google search could be irrelevant quickly if ChatGPT works right and they don't come back at it. This is what we're dealing here, folks, and it's dire. And again, New York Times has said big tech is bad, but big AI is going to be worse, and they're right. Even Sam Altman of OpenAI said it's either going to end the world or make us tons of money, right? Both scenarios are possible. And again, I believe he's right. Now, I could sit on the sidelines. I could move to an island in near Fiji. I know a few friends with an island. I could go protest in front of the government. I could do a lot of things here. I could stick my head in the sands. I could go drink ayahuasca every week for the next 10 years, but I don't choose to do that. I choose to invest in the companies that I believe are going to change the future and put my entire media platform behind it. I think that's a better use of my time. How many people agree, right? I just think it's a more proactive use of my time. So that's what I'm going to do. And so this is what I want to talk about today. Three major things. I want to talk about big tech AI dominance and why it's dangerous. Next, I want to talk about why decentralized open AI is the key to our future. It's the only way we're going to survive. And strangely enough, it's actually going to be a faster way to develop it. And I'll show you that. Lastly, I'm going to show you how you can profit from AI investing now. And I'm not talking about a few shekels, a little bit of chump change. I'm talking about creating generational wealth from a tiny, tiny investment. It's happening now. Folks, this is not going to happen next year. It's going to be too late. It's happening now. Now. There's a company in Europe right now. It's 4-week-old technology company called Mistral AI out of France. It's 4 weeks old. They just raised $100 million. It's 4 weeks old. This is what's happening. Unheard of what's happening. And we're involved as well. So we are currently investing over $3 million in 3 metaverse AI deals this quarter. All right, we don't have much time left. We're closing these deals. So we have skin in the game. We are putting our money where our mouth is. We are determining this future. We don't have a choice, in my opinion. And I've got a group of London Realers that have been with London Real, some of them 5, 10 years, that are alongside us, me and Martini and the crew here, for the next 10 years to create generational wealth and make sure we create an AI that doesn't ruin the world. That's pretty much my prime directive here. And it's challenging, it's a little stressful, but it's also exciting. And it's the perfect thing we need to do right now. The reason we can do that is because of London Real Ventures. And if you don't know, London Real Ventures is the world's first media-powered investment firm. This has never been done before. I never planned to do this, to be honest. It just all happened in the last year. What we do is we take our massive media platform with 5 million subscribers and 1 billion views. We take my ability to put someone in the leather chair I've never met before and get them to talk for 2.5 hours, find a way for them to articulate their vision, talk about their products, talk about where the future is going to be. And then we distribute that piece of media out into the world and write them a big fat check. This is the new model. And I guarantee there's people out there that are jealous as we speak. You know, the Andreessen Horowitzes of the world, some of the big VCs, and they're going to be dying to have one of these. And so again, this gives us a real edge over the competition, and it's something we're really excited about. These are some of the investments we've already made. Massive companies. We expect to be doing multi-billion-dollar IPOs in the next 18 months. Names like Vadim, Orange Comet, Swissborg, Cross the Ages, the list goes on. And we're going to be rattling these off, probably one a month for the next 24 months. And you're going to watch it happen. This is one of them, Orange Comet. Again, it's an exciting Web3 gaming and entertainment company that's using AI to build incredible metaverses, digital collectibles, etc. This is Eric Pulier of Vadim, who was here in studio about 10 days ago. We're dropping his episode Sunday, I believe. They are doing amazing things by creating metaverses with AI for Fortune 500 companies. This is our latest. It's the hottest new deal we're working on, which is a Web3 super app for artists and creators. It's WhatsApp meets Amazon. That's actually closing now. And of course, we have what we're calling our OpenAI killer. These are all closing literally in the next few days. I believe this statement to be true. The greatest way to predict the future is to create it. How many people agree with that here? Right? That's the best way, right? You can think about it, you can complain about it, you can stress about it. Hell with that. I'm going to create it. And that's what we're doing here inside our investment club. And I'll show you how later. What's your mission? What's your vision? Well, this is our why. I think you need to know what your why is. But ours is this. It's written on our back wall. And that is to create a mass scale transformation of humanity into a fully empowered, conscious, and cooperative species. That's what London Real does. That's what London Real Ventures does. And that's exactly what we're doing by reshaping the future of AI, because we want humans to be fully empowered, right? We want them to be conscious, and they're not going to be able to do that if a super intelligent AI is dominating us. And folks, don't kid yourself. That is a very, very real possibility. And they're not going to dominate us long before they don't need us anymore. That is a very real possibility. And so it's very important that our mission aligns with what we're doing from an investment perspective. But also I've got personal reasons to do that too. And it's these cool cats, these three cool cats here. This is Caden, my son in the middle. He's just turned 7. Just did an incredible performance today at school with a little bit of singing going on. That's his brother, Damon, the wise guy on the right. He's about to turn 6. And the cat, the cat can stay or go, but we'll keep him alive as long as we can. And for me, this is my why. This is why I'm getting up early, because I'm really worried that they're going to grow up as teenagers in a way that no human has experienced in the last 200,000 years. And they will. And they could grow up in a world that's very dark and dystopian, or they could grow up in one where they've got AI helpers everywhere. It's something that really concerns me, to be honest. I don't think anyone 7 years old is going to have a childhood ever like anything we experienced. And I'm concerned about it. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking to you when I've got better things to do. And I'm sure you do as well. And that's why it's important that we all sit here and try to learn something here today. So let's jump into it and let's look at some of the headlines that you've seen. We got our good friends that always look out for us, Goldman Sachs, right? Who are telling us that AI is going to remove 300 million full-time jobs in the world. And AI, Goldman always tells us the truth, right? So that's probably closer to 1 billion, right? This is the truth. We're going to see massive job losses. They're going to create massive social unrest, scarcity, you name it. OpenAI's former top safety researcher. Okay, this guy worked at OpenAI, saw the tech they were developing, and said there's a 10 to 20% chance that the tech will leave most humans dead. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't like those odds. If I'm rolling dice in Vegas, I don't really want that to be happening, but this is what they said, okay? This is real. The godfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton, and by the way, all my guests tell me off camera, they said, Brian, this was the guy, all of them. This guy was doing neural nets and large language models back in the 90s when nobody thought it was gonna happen. By the way, AI was considered pretty much a joke until recently. It was considered a dead end route for your career until now. And he left Google because of the dangers ahead. He knew that big tech playing with big AI was going to be a recipe for disaster. He got out, all right? And this is Max Tegmark, all right? He is a professor at MIT. He is also the president of the Future of Life Institute, and he wrote the letter about a month ago with 1,000 signatures asking for a pause on major AI systems like ChatGPT for 6 months. Anybody remember that letter? Anybody remember that letter that came out? Right? Some people put their nose up at it, but he was really warning about what happened because he's concerned. And I was lucky enough to have him on the show. I'm going to have him back very shortly, but I want to play for you what he was saying. Listen carefully to what these people are saying. Listen to every single word, because they're saying one thing to you, obviously, and the next thing they're saying to you between the lines. And this is what Max told me to look out for.
We are either going to become empowered as a species to really be the masters of our own destiny and use artificial intelligence to solve all the problems we've been stumped by so far, or we're going to go extinct.
I think you have said that when it comes to AI, we're not in an arms race. It's actually a suicide race. Where you think we're headed and why everyone needs to pay attention to this now.
The worst case scenario is lights out for all of us. Why was it that GPT-J seemingly persuaded a Belgian man recently to commit suicide, or that another chatbot tried to convince a New York Times journalist to leave his wife? It was not because some engineer involved in building it was like, I'm gonna mess with these people. No, it's just they had no idea it was gonna do these things. They're gigantic black boxes. Pressing the start button is basically like playing Russian roulette. That's why the biggest threat right now, I think, is instead coming from the private market, where everybody is just trying to make more money. You can make a lot of money on things in the short term, even if you don't understand how they work.
There's no history on this planet of a less intelligent being ever either surviving or having any type of reality that they used to have. There's a good argument to say this is really important to stay aware of.
If we're up against something more intelligent and it wants to get rid of us, it'll be in a way that we can't even imagine. And probably for a reason also that we can't imagine. If we get this right, there's just an enormous upside. So if we can amplify our intelligence with artificial intelligence, it's just mind-boggling how amazing things we could do. Where people can live healthy, wealthy, inspiring lives in a world where AI just helps bring out the best in us.
What do you think of Max? We like him, Max, a little bit. We get a little bit of a vibe from him. Look, he's very worried. And he said, look what happens when private companies get involved. He's got this term called Moloch. Moloch is it's this phenomenon that humans engage in, and it's a race to zero is what it is. It's when humans act against their own self-interest to basically create things that will ruin them. Does that make sense to everybody here? Nuclear arms are a perfect example, right? Why would two amazing intelligent nations like Russia and America build thousands and thousands of nuclear missiles? Just a few could exterminate the entire planet, but we keep building them and keep building them. Does everyone understand what I'm talking about here, right? Sometimes we do things that make no intuitive sense because for us, in the short term as individuals, it does make sense. The same thing's happening with AI and big tech. Big tech is racing to zero right now. And if we don't do something about it, it will destroy us. And it will also not innovate AI in the way that will save us. So that was Max. Let me jump back here and show you what else we're seeing. We see Satya Nadella of Microsoft, and you know what he wants to do, right? He wants to destroy Google. Now, let's be honest, Microsoft has been the ugly stepchild of technology for the last 20 years. Who we kidding? They've not developed anything cool. They don't have a search engine. They don't have fancy new phones, right? They don't have social networks. They're where your grandpa uses his email at work, right? Or maybe you do, right? It's not exactly innovation. And so now they have ChatGPT in their back pocket, and guess what? It's payback time. And he wants to destroy every single one of these tech companies, and he doesn't care who he's going to take out, who he takes out in the meantime. Does that make sense to everybody here, right? They all looking at their share price. And just to tell you, I'm not personally slamming him. If Satya doesn't do it, guess what they're going to do? They're going to fire him and hire a CEO that will do it. Because that's what's going on here. It's all about bucks, and the rest is conversation, because these companies are trying to survive. This should alarm you and scare the bejesus out of you. Google reportedly overruled a risk assessment to launch Bard AI. They were told internally and externally, do not hook this up to the live internet. Right now, Bard, which is almost as powerful as ChatGPT, is on the live internet. I asked it to do an obituary for me last night, and it wrote it for me with up-to-date search information on me, right? Up-to-date search information, which means they probably know all of the latest websites for our nuclear power plants, right? All of the latest weapon designs, they probably know as well. They know all the different codes for weapon systems, all live on the internet right now. Does everyone see the danger of this, right? This is why this is a cardinal rule in AI not to do this. But they overruled it because big tech is bad, but big AI is worse. It probably makes you feel better. It makes me feel better that Sundar Pichai, the Google boss, is that he's not sleeping well at night. Does that make anybody feel better here? He's not sleeping well. All right. Okay, good. All right. Well, great. It's not going to help us here. He shouldn't sleep well at night. You know, he's creating monsters. And of course, the White House summoned everybody here, all the big names. You can see them on the right. Sundar, Sam, Satya, and said, look, it's your moral duty to safeguard society. Anybody think they're going to do it? No. Joe Biden telling you to do something is probably not going to do it. Hell, anybody in Washington is not going to convince these guys. They're running trillion-dollar companies. They're either going to become $5 trillion companies or they're going to go to zero. That's how much is at stake with AI right now. And of course, people are talking about shutting it down like Max. It's not going to happen either. This is Dr. Hugo de Garis. He's an AI scientist and he's author of the book called The Artilect War. Hugo has been in AI for over 30 years. He's a super smart guy. He's going to be in the studio in a couple months. All right. Listen to what Hugo says, because he has already game scenarioed everything that's going to happen in his mind. He wrote a book 20 years ago called The Artilect War. He knows what's going to happen. He knows how this end game plays out. And he's going to tell you right now. A little dark, but this is what Hugo believes. All right. Listen.
Do we build gods, or do we build our potential exterminators? I mean, I used to say, I'm going to die quietly in my bed, but my grandchildren will be caught up in this horrible conflict that I'm predicting is coming. But now I'm suddenly have question marks. God, I might even see it.
You say that the machines might just take us out in the back and
Once it can start redesigning itself, you get an exponential explosion of intelligence. And then our fate as human beings depends on the machines. It's only a question of time before humanity is forced to choose between stopping development in artificial intelligence. I don't see that as realistic. Or we just accept the idea that sooner or later, we, as a human species, we become number two. The answer to that is, as I'm predicting, war.
Do you think China is behind the West right now for AI?
The potential of the Chinese is phenomenal. The Chinese, they've been the dominant power for not just centuries, but for millennia. The last 2 centuries or so, when they're economically dipped, that for them, given their 5,000-year history, is a glitch. It's a historical glitch. So deep down in the Chinese mentality is the push to get back, quote, where we belong.
So can you really isolate and stop the development of AI?
Personally, I feel it's inevitable. Do we build gods, or do we build our potential exterminators? That's the issue. Should humanity build artilects?
How many people think we should still keep building these things? Raise your hand if you think we should. Sonny's like, no way, Brian. Okay. Nobody thinks that? Come on, raise your hand. But if we don't, well, look, the thing is that maybe we shouldn't, but you can't stop everybody, right? And even these AI scientists, they can see right in front of their face, Sonny, that they're about to build something that's literally going to blow their face off, right? It's like a bomb builder knowing this thing's going to blow them up. Guess what? They can't help themselves, right? They can't help themselves. This is their whole life's work. They never even thought they were going to see it while they were alive. You heard what Hugo said. He thought this was going to be my grandchildren's problems. I was just going to die quietly in my bed. He's like, now I got to actually worry about this. They're all surprised by the acceleration. The question is, are we prepared to be number two? How many people think humanity can be number two in the world? Do you think we can handle it? How do we treat our number two species here in the world? Anybody ever see how we treat chickens? Want to be one of those? How about a cow? You're like, well, Brian, they're free range cows. Okay, you can be a free range if you want, but that's about as good as it's going to get. Look, this planet is always dominated by what? The strongest species on the planet? Is it the strongest who dominates? No. There's plenty of things. Chimpanzees are much stronger than us. The ones with the sharpest teeth? No, it's the most intelligent. That's what wins. And if the machines are more intelligent, don't kid yourself that they're not going to do what they want. This is what's at stake here, folks. It's very, very important. I love Hugo. You got to watch this episode. It's free on London Real. He'll be back in studio in October. It's going to be a barn burner. All right, this is what I wanted to show you today because this is deep. It's a little nuanced, but it's crucial. All right. Google leaked a memo about a month ago. Did anybody hear this? The title of it was, "We have no moat." This was a big deal, and I'll explain why, right? This is a Google employee, okay? And this is what he said on the right. This is internal memo, was never supposed to be seen by us. He said, look, we've done a lot of our work looking over our shoulders at OpenAI, right? Because ChatGPT was gonna literally put Google out of business, ruin $1 trillion of value. He's like, we're thinking about who's gonna cross the next milestone. What will the next move be? But the uncomfortable truth is we aren't positioned to win this arm race, and neither is OpenAI. This blew everyone's mind. Internally, they're saying we're both jacked, right? While they've been squabbling, fighting it out, right? In the front scenes, a third faction has been quietly eating our lunch, right? This is direct quotes from a memo of a senior person inside Google, right? Now, this is not being talked about enough, okay? He's talking about open source. Look at this. Plainly put, they're lapping us, right? Things that Google used to consider major problems. These are the best brains in the world with literally billions and billions of dollars of capital to spend on large language models, on neural nets, on computing power, on GPUs. right? Things we consider major problems are being solved and are in people's hands today. Wait, it gets better. Lambda's powerful AI model was leaked online. Did anybody see that? It was leaked. It was hacked. And kids in the basement were actually running it themselves. All right. The memo continues. It said, look, Meta's Lambda, which is their large language model, was leaked to the public, right? Look at what they say. A tremendous outpouring of innovation followed, just days between major developments. So it was leaked, and now the whole public is playing with this thing, and they are making exponential gains on even Meta and Google. Is this blowing anybody's mind here? It blows my mind, right? Look, they said they've solved the scaling problem to the point that anyone can tinker. Many of the new ideas are coming from ordinary people. Listen to that. The barrier to entry for training and experimentation has dropped from the token output of a major research organization like Google down to basically nothing, right? This is the truth. And so literally right in front of our eyes in real time, we are being taught a lesson that what we thought was an impenetrable moat, right? A moat means like a separation between you and someone else, right? A friction, a barrier to entry. As in, there's no way you can compete with the money and the talent of these major tech companies. Microsoft just gave $10 billion to OpenAI. Do you think you can compete with that? Guess what? You can. Ordinary people are playing with this and innovating faster than the internal. How many people find that fascinating? I do, right? Incredible. And so this is where you want to pay attention, because this is where the salvation is. This is how I believe we can save ourselves. And also this is where a ton of money is going to be made, a ton. Again, a couple of the things when it comes to open source. Open source has historically surpassed closed source. Look at these graphs at the bottom. On one hand, you see DALL-E. Okay, DALL-E was the image generator that OpenAI built. And you can see back in August of 2022, it was leading the pack by far. Then what happened? Stable Diffusion launched their outsource model. You see that blue line there? And then boom, on August 24th, it surpassed DALL-E. And now look at it, it's just going way, 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 way higher. Because it now uses the group think, the hive mind of everybody in the world playing with the software. And it doesn't matter if they're not all MIT PhDs that Google hired or from Stanford, they're still solving problems quicker. So the proof is there if you can just see this right now, which makes the investments we're making right now, again, even more valuable than we thought they were going to be. Is this making sense to everybody here? Open source looks like it's trumping these big tech, especially these Web2 companies. And this makes this more exciting than we thought. I went back to MIT last year. All right, I graduated in 1993 with an engineering degree. I went back there because I took my daughter to go to Boston to look at some universities, and I stopped by. I had to make a trip by memory lane. And I went by the MIT Sloan School of Management, one of the best business schools in the world, where I attended as well when I was there. And my professor said, Brian, this AI productivity boom is coming. Then I went to my fraternity house, Zeta Psi on 233 Massachusetts Avenue, and I stopped by there. Fascinating, not much had changed there. I opened the refrigerator and I'm pretty sure some of the food was still there, the same stuff that I left 30 years ago, all right? The kitchen still smelled the same. I guarantee some of those pots had not been washed. But you know, God bless them. And I said to the young men, I said, what are you guys doing? Where are you going to school? Where are you going to work? Are you going to Wall Street like I did? Are you going to be a management consultant? Or are you maybe going to go work for Google? They said, no, we're all going into artificial intelligence and blockchain startups. So again, they say follow the money, follow the talent. The talent's going there. That's what this is going as well. They're not going to the big companies, folks. They are not going to Google. They're not going to Microsoft. They do not want to work for those companies. Why would you? Why would you? This is predicted to go to over 2 trillion by 2030. I just read an article today that said AI could add 4 trillion a year to the value of GDP. So again, it's funny to me that these things always outdate themselves within a week. 4 trillion a year, okay? Which means by 2030, this would probably, and maybe that compounds, you know, you're talking about just amounts of money we can't even conceive of. 30, 40, 50 trillion dollars, because it's going to affect everything, folks. It's not like a single industry. It touches everything. And you know, when I was watching Sam Altman testify before Congress did, I heard this funny voice, and it was the senator from California, Senator Alex Padilla. And I looked up and I was like, wait a second, I know that guy. And I actually went, this was my fraternity brother when I was at MIT. And I was like, wow, look at him, he's a senator. And he said, Brian, look at you, you're a YouTuber. So we need that, neither one of us figured, but we're both in AI. So look, all roads lead to this field, and you want to make sure you're in it. This, enter Ben Goertzel, okay? Ben Goertzel is the CEO and chief scientist of Singularity Net. Now pay attention, folks. That's why, honestly, this presentation I'm giving is, in my opinion, the most prescient one I've ever done. Dr. Ben Goertzel, 4 years ago, I asked him to be a guest on the show. Why? Because at London Real, we're always curious, right? We're always fascinated with new ideas that we can use to transform the world, right? Empower people, make them more conscious, make them more cooperative. So I sat down with Ben. He's a little bit younger there than he is now. Maybe I am too. And he talked to us about what was happening with AI. This is 4 years ago, right? This is before all the crazy stuff happened, but he was there. Now, what happened? Well, Ben's token, which is AGIX ticker, Singularity Net, went up 10x in the last 6 months because of ChatGPT. Literally, his company became worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars more. Now, this is interesting because it's a token, which means his is an open source, decentralized artificial intelligence play. Does everyone see what's happening here, right? This was also one of the very few ways you could invest in AI. How else are you going to do it? Are you going to invest in OpenAI? Did anybody here buy shares in OpenAI? Anybody here? Raise your hand. Of course you didn't. They're not going to sell shares to you. Why would they sell them to you? Microsoft doesn't want you owning shares. Microsoft just gave them $10 billion. There's very few ways to invest in AI. So everybody scooped up Ben's tokens, right? I called up Ben and said, Ben, you got to come back on the show, man. There's stuff happening here. And so he said, okay, Brian, let's do this. So he came back and spoke to me in January. And I said, Ben, what's the story here? Because we still didn't, you know, a lot of these headlines, all of these headlines weren't out yet, right? So I knew something was happening, but most of the world hadn't really figured out that something was going on. And so I said, Ben, what's the state of here? And how have things changed? Have your timelines accelerated? And this is what he told me.
We are leaping into the great unknown, creating machines that are much smarter than us. This is either exciting or frightening or both, depending on your personality.
Will AI exterminate humanity?
Eliezer Yudkowsky, a decade or two ago, he said, the AI does not love you. The AI does not hate you, but it can use your atoms for something else. Actually, my view tends to be that AI is the greatest hope we have to save humanity from exterminating itself.
I don't think anyone in the world understands how this will be the most transformational time in human history.
I have a 5-year-old son, a 1-year-old daughter, and a 4-year-old granddaughter. By the time they're turned 18, the whole texture of human life and the nature of the world they grow up into is going to be incredibly different from the world that we see now. Like, they're never going to have to get jobs. On the whole, I'm an optimist. I have a spiritual or intuitive feeling that things are going to come out awesomely in the next 10 years. We're going to overcome material scarcity. We're going to create machines that can feed into our brains via brain-computer interfacing and help uplift human consciousness. And we're going to port into virtual worlds and achieve like states of intelligence and awareness going way beyond anything we can imagine now. So that's what the Captain Kirk in my head thinks. We're on the verge of engineered utopia. It's incredible. It's a remarkably weird and fortuitous thing to be living at such a time.
All right, what do we think of Ben? We like Ben? Come on, Dr. Ben's the man, right? So Ben, he sees the problems, but he also sees solutions. And again, he's been doing this in an open source, decentralized way. By the way, Ben coined the term AGI, artificial general intelligence. He used to work with Dr. Hugo in China 20 years ago, right? Ben is considered one of the top names, and every AI scientist in the world wants to work for him because of what you see right there. Every time I see Ben and hang out with him, I'm even more impressed than I already was. So after this call, by the way, after this video, I said to Ben, look, London Real Ventures is going to be putting money and our media power behind what I believe are the next big AI companies, the ones that are going to do it right. Will you be our advisor? Will you help us source deals? Can you be a part of this? And he said, Brian, let me come back to you. A couple weeks later, he got me on a Zoom call with this lady. This is Janet Adams. She's the chief operating officer of the decentralized Singularity Net. And they got on the phone with me and they said, Brian, I got something better. Why don't you partner with us on our large language model, on our answer to OpenAI? And I said, this is the OpenAI killer is what this is. They said, Brian, we believe we've already won because we are working on AGI, artificial general intelligence, which means human level intelligence. ChatGPT is working on narrow AI. It's working on a model that can choose the next word. It can regurgitate the next word, but it doesn't actually have intelligence. Does that make sense to everybody here? Right? It's basically a parlor trick. It's a great parlor trick, but it's a parlor trick. And they said, look, we've got this. We've got the scientists. We've been all working together for the last 4 or 5 years. We already understand decentralized, right? Blockchain is in our veins. We have this. And I said, I'm in. So I met Janet on one of the meetups here in London. And literally I said, you got to come into the studio. So I invited Janet in the studio and she broke down what their artificial intelligence play, which is called Zarka. And here is Janet Adams here with me in the studio talking about Zarka.
Artificial general intelligence is completely different to narrow AI. AGI is more purpose-driven. It's a watershed moment for humanity.
Tell me about Zarka. This is the project that will create the AGI. And it's a supercharged, intelligent, neurosymbolic, large language model at massive scale. What is it?
Zarka is the accumulation of decades of research from teams containing the best artificial intelligence scientists in the world. We uniquely harness that expertise with our even more unique capabilities in neural symbolic techniques and the deeply advanced mathematics that Dr. Ben Goertzel, Dr. Matt Ickley, Dr. Alexei Potapov, and our top scientist, Sergei Shalyapin, have been working on for decades. We are building the most powerful large models ever invented.
With Zarka and Singularity Net and everything you've always done, it's always been about openness. It's always been about decentralization.
We'll be using blockchain technology to enable anybody to help train models. We're giving birth to a new species of sentient life in the universe. The actual greatest imperative is that they are used for good. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. Our goal, our mission is to eradicate inequalities.
When I look at the rest of the market now, I don't see any of those motivations because a corporation, by definition, is going to be motivated by money. You're the only project that even is thinking in any way, shape, or form about these.
We are going to transform what it means to be human on our planet. I foresee a future in which humans then evolve to a next level of being where we are actually conscious, where we feel our full joy engulfed in bliss and ecstasy of the joy of living, the joy of each other. I see a future of joy.
What do we think of Janet? We feeling Janet's energy? We like her? Yeah, look, she's the perfect yin to the yang. All right, we need Janet in here. Again, we need some female energy, some inclusive energy. She's also an incredible COO. She's sharp as a tack. And look, let's be honest, this whole industry is dominated by a bunch of, on the spectrum, male scientists, right? And again, it takes one to know one, right? And what we really need is a balance. And we need a group like this that's been working open source, that's been working decentralized, that's been working with a community since its inception. I'm telling you folks, all roads point to Zarka, which is why we're super excited and that's why we're involved with this deal. And so again, this is why I'm calling it the OpenAI killer. We're cutting $1 million check to this project in the next 3 days. And we really believe this is the future and we're really excited about it. So look, 2023 is the year of AI. This will not come back. You will never see the opportunities you see this year, next year. I believe 2024, it will be too late. These companies are going to be funded. This company, Mistral AI, just got $100 million. People are throwing around money like it's nobody's business because it's all happening now. This will not do over. There will not be an AI winter because this grows exponentially, this technology. All right. So you might be asking yourself, where and how do we invest? Good question. Well, you must find the hottest trends and the hottest deals. That's the only way. All right. You've got to find the hottest sub trends in the AI industry as well. The only way to do that is through three things: deal flow, deal flow, and deal flow. If you don't see the deal, if you don't know what's happening, you're never going to know what happened, right? Obviously, Microsoft invested in OpenAI 5 years ago. That was deal flow. If you didn't do that, well, you better start now somewhere. What's that ancient Japanese phrase? There are two good times to plant a tree: 20 years ago and today. So if you don't have an AI investment, you better start today. Otherwise, you're going to blink and it's going to be gone. So how do we do this? Well, when I'm not in the studio interviewing guests like I'll be tomorrow, when I'm not teaching in my academy, which I have to go in about 20 minutes to go teach my investment club tonight, when I'm not talking to you on these master classes, I am traveling the world looking for the next hottest AI deal. This is me at the biggest technology conference in the world called GITEX with over 100,000 people. It takes 3 hours to walk from one side to the other. There's flying cars. It's crazy. All right. This is in Dubai. I'm hanging out with big crypto influencers on the left. I was interviewing members of the government. That's Dr. Marwan Al-Zaruni next to me. He runs the AI center now in Dubai. And then I'm talking with some of the biggest venture capital companies in the entire region on the right. Next, I'm off to Paris. I'm at the private dinners with venture capital with some of the hardest startups. I'm filming for documentary movies, doing media, and meeting with a bunch of our portfolio companies on the upper right. That's Swissborg and Cross the Ages, by the way. Then I'm back to London for Token 2049. I'm hanging out with Yat Su. That's him in the very middle in our studio. Yat runs a $4 billion venture capital fund focusing on metaverse, which is empowered by AI. Again, I'm off to more meetings, and then I go back to Paris. Here I'm hanging out with Tim Draper, legendary Silicon Valley investor. Dan Tapiero on the bottom, again, legendary investor running. He's actually raising $1 billion fund that we're going to be investing in next month, and a bunch of more people as well. And then, of course, I go out to Texas last month to Consensus. Here you can see I met with Ben Goertzel in the middle, recorded another video with him, spent more time with the team, getting ready for our big investment in Zarka. I got met by a bunch of our team out there, investment club members. That's Ryan next to me on the right. He walked away, by the way, with, I think, 16 different deals from that conference alone, because we actually teach you how to source these deals. I'll get to that later. Also on the bottom right, I got to hang out with William Shatner. That's Captain James T. Kirk, if you don't know, from the USS Starship Enterprise. I was a big fan growing up. And I got to meet him because he is doing his digital collectible with one of our companies, Orange Comet. And if you see that picture on the very top with the pink background, that's Dave, the CEO of Orange Comet, who's been in our studio with William Shatner announcing his collectible. And Dave hooked me up with the, behind the scenes meet and greet with William, and it was a lot of fun. At the same time, I got to introduce Dave to Yat Su, and you could see they're talking there and hanging out, because that's my job. I want to take our companies up 100x, 200x, and 500x. And what better than a nice 10, 20, $30 million check from Animoca Brands? So this is what I do now. I work on deal flow and growing our companies and empowering them. This is how you do it, folks. And I can teach you how. You've got to invest with the best. That's the only way you're going to do this. You cannot do this on your own. And there's no other way to get access to this top level deal flow as a normal person like you are, a retail investor. No way. And so we're constantly combing the top AI companies in the world that are being sent to us. We're getting introductions. We're talking to their CEOs. We talk to a CEO every single week live with my club, and they pitch us their company. We had an amazing company, right, on Martini on Monday pitching us. I think we're going to invest in that company, who's doing AI for basically, gaming, 3D gaming characters. They're doing all the AI infrastructure for that. And they believe they have something that no one else can touch that's going to be completely force multiplied by AI. And they're already doing work with Meta and a bunch of other companies. And I think they're right. And again, we're getting sick deals from these people. The final piece here that you need to understand is the financial tools. If you don't understand this, you're going to lose all of your money. Let's just be clear about that. You're going to lose it all, or you're going to invest in something that doesn't go anywhere. So you have to understand the financial tools. There's only one financial tool you want to use when it comes to these investments. Otherwise, you're making big mistakes. And that is early stage funding. All right. And this is the big headline you should know walking away from today. Early stage metaverse and artificial intelligence, equity investing. It's the hottest opportunity out there right now, and the only opportunity, in my opinion. This is why. You buy at super low valuations. You see the biggest gains. You invest in what I call the biggest dislocation of wealth in human history. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a high risk scenario, but it's also an even higher reward. And this is what we're talking about, folks. This is early stage funding, seed funding, startup funding, early growth funding. This is when a company is still losing money. All right, is that clear for everybody? The company's still losing money, but you get the opportunity to invest. Let me give you an example, a quick case study of how this worked. All right, pay attention, this is really important. How did Peter Thiel, on the right, legendary Silicon Valley investor, turn $500,000 into $1 billion? $500,000 into $1 billion. Pretty impressive, right? Well, this is Mark Zuckerberg on the left, founder of Facebook, now Meta, and this is how it went down. Back in 2004, Peter Thiel invested $500,000 into Facebook via early stage equity private placement. Does this sound familiar, folks? At the time, it valued Facebook at $10 million. $500,000 divided by 10 million means 5% of the company is what Peter bought. Is everybody with me here? He bought 5% of the company, right? They try to make this complicated, but it's not. What happens? 8 years later, Mark went to the public markets, right? And did an IPO. Now you get to buy the company, right? Now you get to buy it, Sam. Now you get to buy it, Thomas, PT, and Sonny. Now you get to buy shares, right? But you don't get it 10 million. You have to pay 100 billion for the shares in this company. Because everybody knows on Wall Street, the first lesson I got when I got to Wall Street is they said, Brian, when we ever sell anything to the public, that's when the price is about to go down. That's when we take our profits. Because the truth is, the public, which is you, well, you're sheep and sheep get slaughtered. Wall Street looks at you as just a way of making money. And so what happened? Peter Thiel made a 2,300x return on his investment. That's a 230,000% return. Has anybody here ever made that kind of return on anything? No, you haven't. I worked on Wall Street for 15 years, the highest levels of international finance. I worked in New York City. I worked on Chicago. I worked here in London. I never heard of anybody making a 230% gain. And what happened to the price of Facebook after you could buy it as members of the public? Did it go up? Goes down. Of course it goes down, right? And say it did go up a little bit. You'd be at popping bottles in the pub when you made 10%. Peter Thiel would be laughing. He'd be, thank you very much, Sonny. I just made 230,000%. This happens every day, by the way, and nobody knows about it. The best kept secret on Wall Street. How we get filthy rich on Wall Street. And they pay us these stupid bonuses with multiple commas in them. So what's the conclusion? The wealthy invest in early stage deals, period. If you're not doing this, you're not going to be wealthy, period. But you'll never know that because no one's going to teach you. A simple $10,000 investment. Imagine if you would put 10,000 in this, would have made you $23 million. How many people could use an extra 23 mil right now? Come on, put your hands up. Come on, show me some love. No, not you, Pedro? All right, you're off my list today, Pedro. No money for you. All right, 23 mil. Okay, say you only had $5 grand, fine, $12 million. Okay, maybe you can just get only a boat. So this is the conclusion here, folks. And my final conclusion is this. The public markets are for suckers. Okay, if you're out there buying a share of Tesla or you're buying a crypto on an exchange, guess what? Somebody like Peter Thiel already got out and made 100x, 500x, 1000x. Is that clear to everybody here? Please show me your thumbs up. There's one lesson you learned today. This is what my buddies on Wall Street, they hate me for teaching this to you. Honestly, most of them don't even talk to me anymore because this is financial education and they don't want you to have it. That way the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor. And this has been happening for thousands of years and it's going to continue to happen. So this, by the way, also happens in crypto. Anybody ever here do a pre-sale token or buy pre-sale tokens ever? Raise your hand. Of course not. Nobody tell you about that either. Let me give you a quick example. This is Solana. Anybody heard of Solana? It's only one of the biggest blockchains out there. Anybody own Solana? Anybody own some of these coins? Come on, be honest. Yeah. Well, guess what? You could have bought them on a pre-sale basis down here for 4 cents. Can everybody see this red circle? April 5th, 2018. Look over to the right. How much did they raise? $3.17 million. Can everybody see this in the circle? They sold how many? 79.3 million tokens. By the way, this is on the blockchain. Don't take my word for it. This is all public knowledge. Go look it up. What happens? Well, guess what? These people made a 59,000% return on those tokens, right? Did anybody here buy them for 4 cents? Anybody here get those for 4 cents? Of course you didn't, because you didn't have the deal flow and you didn't understand the financial instruments. So guess what? You stay poor. That's just the way it works, folks. This is the way it works until now. Now I'm showing you this. Hopefully you can never unsee this. So let me finish. How do you create generational wealth? You've got to pull the trigger. If you don't put money in these deals, it's never going to happen. And then you'll be at a bar someday saying, oh yeah, I heard about Zarka. I was on Brian's Zoom call back at 23, but I didn't invest. Give me another beer, right? Is that going to be you? Probably, because you've got to pull the trigger if you're going to make this happen. And that's what we do here at London Real Ventures. This is a snapshot of the cover page of over 200 pitch decks that we've seen in the past 10 months. By the way, bottom right is the Orange Comet deal, the guys that introduced me to William Shatner. That's the race cars. We look at these deals every single week. This is our deal flow monitor. This is how we track every single deal. You can see the name of the deal, the blockchain it's on. Are they raising tokens? Are they raising equity? How much are they raising? 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 20 million. What's the valuation of the company? 50 million, 100 million, a billion. We track all of this stuff. This is Orange Comet. We wrote a check for $500,000, right? They're working with the top stars in the world. Sir Anthony Hopkins, Scottie Pippen of the Chicago Bulls, Walking Dead, NFL, major movie franchises like The Fast and the Furious. I shouldn't have said that, right? They're crushing it, right? We're going to make a ton of money on this company. This is Dave Broom. He's in the studio. I don't have time to play the video. Go watch it. He's incredible, right? Once you see him, you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't invest in this. This guy's a winner and he will not stop until he wins. They plan on doing an IPO next year. And again, they'll do an IPO, 10, 20, 30 billion, we'll make 400, 500X on this investment. This is Swissborg, the #1 crypto wealth manager in Europe. They got 1 million people with their app, 1 million people ready to buy tokens and equity on the blockchain. They're literally creating the bank of the future. They're one of our investments. We're going to use them to take profits on a bunch of our investments. You could too, or not. This is Vadim, right? Creating metaverses for Fortune 500 companies. They work with PepsiCo, Frito-Lay, FIFA, Slack, Google. It's amazing what these guys are doing. This is Eric Polier in my studio literally a week ago. And of course, OpenAI. This is the hottest new deal. It's the Web3 super app for artists and creators. Amazon meets WeChat. I mean, it's amazing. And by the way, this is the article on TechCrunch. They just raised $28 million at a $100 million valuation. You can see the quote by Jason on the bottom left. The funding round was led by Animoca Brands, $4 billion in assets. Avalanche, one of the biggest crypto protocols out there. Galaxy Digital, again, massive. Warner Brothers Music, massive. And guess what? London Real Ventures, baby. We're going to put $500,000 in this thing. We're closing this in 4 days. How do we get access? Because we have something special, our media platform. And guess what? Because of my access, I pass that on to you. And of course, this is the hottest deal in the world. We're calling it the OpenAI Calendar. This is Zarka. It's a supercharged, intelligent, neurosymbolic large language model from Singularity Net at massive scale. You've seen the team, Ben Goertzel, Janet Adams, Sergey, all these people are at the top of their game, right? The opportunity is the OpenAI moment. ChatGPT's got everybody's attention. The problem is this: deep neural nets have no ability to reason in complex world environments. This is dangerous, folks. Dangerous. This is how AIs are going to kill people, because they're not going to have any logic. You're going to tell them to do something. Go get me a cup of coffee. They're going to come back with blood all over the cup. And you're going to say, what happened? And they're going to be like, oh yeah, there was some kid in the kitchen that was in the way of the coffee. So I ran him over because you didn't tell me not to. Does everyone see how dangerous narrow AI is? Dangerous because it doesn't think. This is the solution to that, right? LLMs don't know when they're wrong. Enter neurosymbolic AI. They can meta reason. They can make logical decisions. This is what Ben has been working on for 10 years. They have not been working on ChatGPT parlor tricks. They don't want to solve that problem. They want to solve this problem. This is why they're going to win, folks. They got smart contract ownership. It's decentralized. It's democratized. They're going to have proof of concept by the end of the year. Then they're going to start rolling it out. They already understand AGI. They have AGI supremacy. And the revenues are off the charts, folks. It's $55 billion in 6 years. You put a 100x multiple on it. That's a $5 trillion company. It's the biggest company in the world. I mean, this is a no-brainer. and they're good people that have core values that align with mine. My question for you, is this the next 1000X investment? Anybody think it might be? Anybody think it could be? Yeah, I think it damn well could be. All right. And so look, this is what we're doing. This is London Real Ventures. We couldn't be more excited. These are our portfolio companies. And this is what I call our quadruple threat. This is what we do. All right. I got a few minutes left, so I'm going to go quick because I got to get to my investment club people. Right. We produce the episode. We distribute it to 5 million people. I connect you with all of my influencers in tech, in VC, and you name it. And then we write you a big fat check for $1 million. So how do you learn this? How do you guys learn this? Let me quickly show you how. I believe in this. You're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. How many people agree with me with that? How many people agree? Come on, it's true. So who are you hanging out with? How are you going to be successful if you're hanging out with your friends and your family and the loser people you are? Just not going to happen, right? This is what my mentors tell me all the time. This is why I went to MIT, because I needed a new peer group. I was too comfortable in San Diego. This is why I encouraged my daughter to go to BU, because if she stayed in London, she was going to be too comfortable. She's the smartest girl in the class with all of her friends. And this is why we have people like this in my investment club. This is Marianne Bartels, 35-year Wall Street veteran, chief investment officer, Merrill Lynch, Bank of America. She knows more about stocks and bonds and yield curves than I ever will. She knows what the Federal Reserve is going to do before they do it. She's a founding member of the investment club. This is your new peer group. Marianne's invested in Zarka. She's invested in Orange Comet. She's invested in Vadim. She's invested in every single one of these companies because she knows money. This is your new peer group. This is Andrew Haynes. He's an expert in the metaverse and all things digital collectible. He built this mansion in the Sandbox. He also goes to one of the top executive training schools in Switzerland with some of the best AI professors in the world. This is your new peer group. This is Dr. Encore. Came from medicine 14, 16 months ago, reinvented his career. Now he brings us all these deals. By the way, Encore brought us the Vadim deal. He brought us the Orange Comet deal because we taught him how to source deals. I asked him to put one video on YouTube a year and a half ago. He said, no, Brian, I don't want to. I said, just do it. And he did it. Then he did 10, then he did 20. A year later, he did one every single day. Now he's got hundreds of thousands of videos. He's an influencer. Do you think it's a coincidence? He got offered $100,000 in pre-sale tokens the other day for free to advise on a company, and he turned it down. Did anybody here get offered $100,000 in pre-sale tokens? No, because you're not hanging out with high performance people. It's not your fault. This is what you need to do. Your net worth is your network. How many people agree with that? There's no two ways around it. These are the people, a small snapshot of people in my investment club. Incredibly high-performing people, 75 strong, over 20 countries from around the world. High-level people in Wall Street, in real estate, in legal, in healthcare, in Bitcoin, in mining, in banking. This is your new peer group. We are going to take over the world together. I've pledged to these people here, I'm going to create $10 billion of wealth for them in the next 10 years. And watch me, I will. We're going to do this together, and we couldn't be more excited. So look, I'm going to wrap this up because I got to get going, but I believe in this. This is Lao Tzu. You give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. I don't want to give you deals. I want to show you how to get the deals. That way you can add to this group and you don't need me anymore, right? That's what we do. And that's why I created the investment club, because in 2021, we got an opportunity to invest in Cross the Ages, which by the way, is the hottest gaming company in blockchain right now. I had studied at MIT. I had studied in banks all over the world, and I had never heard of this stuff before in pre-sale tokens. I'll be honest, it scared me. It was too crazy. And I thought, if this makes me uncomfortable, all of you have no chance. So I created the investment club. And this is it. We open up 10 spaces every quarter. It's 3 months of coursework. It's a 12-month course. But at this point, no one's ever left. It's a lifetime course. Every single week, we had a CEO of a company coming in and pitching us. Every single week. It's like Shark Tank. I grill them in front of the club. I think they come for the blood sport more than anything. But the last 3 calls, we're probably going to cut those people checks. These are hot deals we're seeing. You get access to all of our deal flow. You get a full year of Kings of DeFi, which is our advanced crypto program. The next live call is next Thursday, by the way. This is our community and how we teach. These are the modules. I teach them in real time. I also change my clothes in real time. You like these colors? Anybody? Right? Makes me look a little plain today, doesn't it? I like module 2, the red and the blue tie. I'm bringing that back, Martini, definitely. These are the modules. Module 1, what's a blockchain AI metaverse presale? I explained to you what it is. Module 2, what is a SAFT or a SAFE? By the way, does anybody here know what a SAFT is? Raise your hand if you've heard of a SAFT before. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You've never heard of a SAFT? I mean, this is a shame. Like this is scandalous that you don't know what a simple agreement for future tokens is. This is how you invest in early stage. A SAFE is a simple agreement for future equity. You have never received a financial education, which is how Wall Street controls your money and gets rich while you stay poor. They charge you massive fees on your pension funds, your car insurance, your mortgage. They are bleeding you dry over the course of your life. Raise your hand if you know that's true. And they're not teaching you how to create wealth, and they never will. And guess what happens when you get one of these opportunities? They say you have to be an accredited investor. What does that mean? You have to be rich to get rich. And the poor stay poor. Been happening since the pyramids, and it's going to keep happening unless you educate yourself. Nobody's teaching this. Module 3 is Deal Flow Part 1. I teach you how to do due diligence on deals, traction, technology, team, tokens, terms and conditions. Module 4, Deal Flow Part 2. I teach you how to go to these conferences and how to source deals. Who here has a business card you could take to a conference with you? Who here's got a business card? No? They got a business card? Yeah, Sem does? Okay, good, Sem. Well, Sem, leave the business card at home, Grandpa, because nobody wants your business card at these conferences, all right? That's not how we do it, all right? Sorry, I didn't mean to pick on you. We use QR codes, we take selfies, and we have pitch decks within 12 hours of meeting the founders. We beam those back to the team. We go through them in real time. We can potentially invest in a company in 24, 48 hours, right? We do this in a whole different way. I teach you how to dress, which ticket to buy, where to show up so you can source deals. Ryan walked away from Consensus with 16 deals. Carol came to Paris with me, walked away with 12 deals. I'm going to teach you how to do this. Module 5 is how you nurture the deals once you cut the check. Module 6 is how to get the cash. How do you get the cash out so we can put money back in? We want you to create generational wealth. That's 10, 20, $30 million in years, not generations. That's what we're looking to do. Martini, stay with me here. I'm almost done here. This is our Telegram group, right? This is our Discord group where we store all of our deals. And this is the deal. We're oversubscribed. We're oversubscribed every single quarter because this is the hottest thing ever. We have 7 confirmed already. 1 is on hold. We had 2 spaces left, but Martini sold 1 last night. There's 1 space left. The investment in this is $50,000. By the way, that's doubling next quarter. Why? Because 3 of my students joined and said, Brian, you should double this. And I said, you're right. It's a significant investment with an unlimited return, unlimited ROI, unlimited. It's the greatest wealth creation event in human history. And you can watch it pass you by, or you can be a part of it. And our special investment opportunity in Zarka and Open are ending soon, like gone in days. By the way, on my last quarter, we had another deal. This is a pre-sale token, by the way, the thing that you've never heard of. This is what we sign when we do early stage deals. You missed out on this opportunity. A bunch of you missed out. But if you had been in on it, you would have made a 466% gain in 1 day. 1 day. That's 10 grand goes to 50 grand you pay for my course in 1 day. All right. I made my team $300,000 in 1 day. And this wasn't even a hot deal. We were bored that week. We have a track record of success. All right. This is Cross the Ages, the deal we invested in. It's the hottest gaming company out there. It's breaking all the records in all the different places. It's breaking records for NFT sales. It got massive investment after Sammy was on my show. This is going to 10x this year when it launches, and it's going to go up from there. We have a track record of success here. And again, my pledge is to create $10 billion, and you can watch me do it because I'm going to do it. And that's our plan. So look, I got to wrap this up because we got to jump into our next call. This is Jens. He's a guy in here. I play this video sometimes and just he's talking about how amazing it is, but we got to jump. I would just say, look, it only takes one. One of these deals will change your life forever. And without one, it's not. Your investing is a joke. One of these will change your kid's life and your grandkid's life and maybe beyond that. So don't let 2023 pass you by. Learn this now. It's going to be here forever. Liquid tokens have limited gains. Bitcoin's not going to go up 1,000x. Never. Tesla's not going to go up 1,000x. Never. You can learn from active investors for just $50,000. It's a bargain, which is why we're doubling it. Again, massive ROI, and Martini just introduced a payment plan. So for $10,000 a month for 5 months, you get in, which means for 10 grand, you can get in on these deals right now. The best deal flow in the world. This is Martini's details. Book a call with her. What's your why, man? I do it for these guys. I don't have excuses. What's your excuse? If you have a strong enough why, anyhow is possible. I have a strong enough why. So if this is important to you, make it happen. And if it's not, then don't. So let's jump to Q&A. I just want to say thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Martini, I know we got to jump. I'm just going to bounce to you and let them know how they can get a hold of you. And then I know we got to go take care of our investment club people. Yeah. All right. Martini, over to you. How can they book a call with you? What's the best way?
Yes, yes. Well, it's good to have everybody here. And yes, we are running a little late for the call. So Harold and Laura, we will see you over there on the next call in just a few moments. But for those of you who are looking for opportunities and you are looking in for that just one thing to pop in your life, I will definitely say it's going to be the investment club. So you guys just be a part of something that's truly amazing and start building generational wealth in a more strategic way and with an amazing community of people who are building wealth with you. So since we're short on time, I just went ahead and put my links inside of the chat here. For those of you who are interested in joining us in the investment club, I left a link in there for you guys to take a look at the information page. Once you have gone ahead and taken a look at the information page there, go ahead and book a call with me. If you don't see that there is a time available to book a call with me and go over any and all of your questions, go ahead and connect with me on Facebook and let me know who you are, where you're from, and what time is more likely or ideal for your time zone. And of course, there's always email, but Facebook is always the fastest way to get to me. So guys, we are definitely looking to supporting you on your journey of creating wealth in the most amazing way possible. So yeah, without further ado, hopefully we'll see you on the next Thursday call, and back to you, Brian.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Look, I appreciate a bunch of the comments and questions. Some people really keyed in on this. Some people worried, some people excited. Look, if you're interested, find a way, book a call with Martini, but don't waste your time. She's the ultimate decision maker on who gets in this club. So if you do talk to her, tell her on why you should be a part of it. I'm just looking for good energy. I don't need a fancy degree. I don't even need you to have a ton of money. I just want good energy, and we can make you a part of what's going to be an incredible community that's going to change the world over the next 10 years. So that's the plan. I got to jump and see our investment club people now. Just sending lots of love to everybody. Stay vigilant, stay on this. But like I said, pull the trigger and be a part of this. All right. Lots of love. Thanks, everybody. Bye.